taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality, presented by the Triple S League.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Augmented Reality podcast for May 30th, 2020. How is it almost June already? Almost June. June is almost halfway through the year. How are we almost halfway through 2020? Oh, mind-blowing. Welcome. This is your source for news, leaks, and analysis and insights about games in the gaming industry. Saturday edition of the show. My name is Ash, and I'm here as always with Cybsidian.
Hello.
Lots of talk about what's going on right now with some chaos in the States. We're not going to get into it here, but our hearts go out to everybody, and if you're in that area, we hope you're all safe and take care of yourselves. And we'll get into the show today, and hopefully this will help get your minds off of a lot of the chaos in the world and talk about fun stuff. But I did want to say, as the sort of the situation with the world situation, the more general world situation and lockdowns and quarantines and things like that continues to carry on. We hope everybody is staying mentally healthy. We have a room set up in our Discord server to sort of help with that, talk about those kinds of things. I think it's been helping people. We've seen a lot of people getting together, playing games. Some people have been doing some streaming just in the Discord server there. So, we hope this is helping. We try to help with that. It's been wearing on us too. Hopefully this ends soon. It's definitely been helping me to get outside. I don't know about you, Cyb, but you have a different relationship with the outdoors than I do, but sunlight has certainly been good.
It's always good for my circuitry.
You do have some solar panels built in. I think that definitely help there.
I was going to welcome this morning by saying, hey, just for the record, because I think they might be listening this morning, wink and a nod. It's not that I don't believe that military check stop police don't have a sense of humor. It's just that you guys don't really come off as those that have a sense of humor.
I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't know if I'm going to pretend to. It sounds like a sketchy topic. Anyway, welcome to the show. As I said, if you're listening live, please say hello in the live chat. Send us your questions and comments there as well. We'll read and respond to as many as we can throughout the podcast. And don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough, and it tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. If you're listening after the fact on the audio-only platforms, we appreciate your likes and follows there as well. It does take us a bit of time to get the podcast up to the audio platforms, so if you want the latest info sooner, we encourage you to hit the link in the description, subscribe to the Triple S League YouTube channel. All right. So, we've got some Cyberpunk 2077 stuff to talk about today. We've got some Baldur's Gate 3 stuff to talk about today. You can see that on the thumbnail and the stream graphic here today. And what I want to know, which is your preferred ride? Dragon or awesome AI-powered cyberpunk car? Taxi, specifically. Let us know in the chat which is your preference. And it doesn't mean that, it's not an either or. It's not like you have to, it's not like we're getting into a war about, again, like pineapple on pizza, where it's like you have to pick one or the other. But just, which is your preferred ride? Which one would win in a fight? I think Dragon takes that one. But anyway, never trust AI taxi drivers. So I picked that on the thumbnail because we got some new shots of the taxi that was used in the in the gameplay. In the story trailer from E3. Marcin Momo, the global community lead for CD Projekt Red, he tweeted out some pictures they had gotten from one of their production studios of the taxi. It looks really cool. So I'll throw those up on the screen. Plus we got a new teaser trailer from Larian Studios of Baldur's Gate 3. Now, usually we grab screenshots of those kinds of things, to when we're sort of breaking down trailers and analyzing them, but the only version we've found is like a really very poor quality version available on Twitter that they tweeted out. And it looks like the screenshots of that would just look terrible. So we're just going to talk about it more in general. Plus, we have some other gaming news as well. But might as well start off with, you know what, let's start off with Cyberpunk. Let's start with Cyberpunk. Mm-hmm. So in addition to the taxi pictures, CD Projekt Red also had a financial meeting recently, a financial conference that has given us some more interesting information about what's going on with the game. So I'll just quickly summarize that, then we'll get into the taxi pictures. So this was another quarterly conference with Adam Kaczynski, Piotr Nilubovich, and this was just a single month after the last one. I don't know why they're having them with such high frequency right now, but I mean, I guess I don't know if that's normal practice when they've got a huge game about to release or what. But
no, I mean, part of it has to do with like their stock portfolio, how quickly it's growing, how quickly it's really like starting to come out ahead, and then how the investors want to like hear from them. So it really just boils down to like people are for the most part really excited about this, and they're wanting more, like things are going really good for them right now, like really 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 good.
Yeah.
And so CDPR is trying to placate to that. They're trying to like keep their investor that forward momentum busy, and trying to like get as much investment in it right now, because there's a lot of people who they pulled their money out because of everything that happened, which is often kind of I mean, there's two ways to look at it. It's kind of smart, kind of good. You're really rolling dice. If you had pulled out your money in the right place at the right time and then reinvested it at the right time, you could theoretically double, triple, or quadruple your profits for the year. However, you could also screw yourself over royally. And with some investments, it's not necessarily about the stock price. It's about what, the dividends that you get out of a stock price. So there are things to consider. There are things to be cognizant of. Typically, like, if you're closing on retirement, things are different than if you're 20, 30 years from retirement. If you're 20 years away from retirement, my best advice is like mutual fund, and then just wait. Literally you just like all of the ups and downs. If you're in a good broad-based mutual, or broad-based like like the Dow or the Nasdaq or the S&P 500, it's like all of these things cover multiple companies, entire economies, and if the economy is good, stock is good. If it's bad, it's usually bad. But it always grows, almost always. There's very few major stocks that crash and then disappear. That's not a thing that really happens very often. So in this case, there's been a lot of people who've pulled out, and they're now looking, now that things are kind of returning to normal, they're looking for stable companies that have the ability to bring some sense of stability and growth at the same time. And CDPR really hits this on the head. There's a lot of people who are looking at this. The company's about to launch this game. Everything looks like it's been going well for them. They just crossed Ubisoft's threshold. They are. I have to be careful how I word this. Rumor has it that they're on the lookout to buy struggling studios due to the extra spending power that they have in the current situation in combination with their stocks and some other stuff.
Interesting.
And it would be a really good time. It's a really good time right now to buy up a lot of companies that are struggling, because if you can turn them around, prepare them, flip them into a new industry, there's a lot of A lot of things are coming home to various countries. Countries all around the world have woken up to the realization that you take the top, 1,000 products that you import every single year, and if you suddenly go without them for a prolonged period of time due to any kind of world type scenario, you're screwed. This is what we've discovered. And so this is what governments and corporations have realized, that this is a huge problem. There's some concern with Sony and Microsoft that we may not even get out all of the consoles that they're hoping to get out, just because of world situations that may end up escalating. And if you suddenly, 90% of your manufacturing is based in a country that suddenly cuts itself off or suddenly can't perform that function anymore, again, the term "you're screwed" is massive. And this is the danger of shopping for the cheapest bidder instead of the most reliable bidder, right? It's like, how much money can you make when you have no product? Zero. So more and more of these companies are looking to kind of like flip and stuff. So there's lots of companies that, they're going to go, lots of space, lots of locations, lots of things may end up going bankrupt and going down the trying to use not, nice language, going down the toilet. However, the option that you'll be able to flip those and turn those into companies that are going to now suddenly be in very high demand in certain areas, that's actually a really good time to do this. And there's going to be lots of people who are going to be encouraging this, because this is kind of the backbone of like the recovery effort that's going to end up happening. Right. Is going to be bringing manufacturing home and that kind of stuff. So right now is a great time to go shopping for new companies. New space, new employees. You can get them at a bargain price. You can get them at a very good price, and people. Somebody might say, well, that's kind of rude. Making people work for cheaper. It's not just that. It's that cheaper cost of investing into something new that may or may not necessarily work out is a lot easier to do when you can get that at a bargain price than when you have to do it later on when it's at a premium price. You understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? It's like it's not a bad thing to raise up your hand when you're out of a job, or when your current job is kind of probably going down in flames, to say, hey, does anybody need me for half of what I'm making right now? So that within a few months, after you prove that you're capable of doing something good and helpful, that you can then bargain for a better price later on.
I suppose that's better than not working at all.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's why there's a good suggestion is, if you are out of a job and you're looking for a job and you can't find a job, go literally volunteer at a company or at a thing that you're interested in. And if you're good at it, and if you have a passion for it, and if you make yourself available, suddenly that person who's paying who could be paying you is going to look at you when you say, hey, loved working here for the last 2 weeks, but I have a new job offer now. They will, if you were truly useful to them, they will say, well, how much is the offer for? And you'll say X amount. And they'll go, well, what if I paid you a little bit more than X amount? Now you're a negotiator. Now you're negotiating for what you love to do. So this is, again, it's massive economics kind of put into a bottle cap that kind of has a little bit something to do with it. But what I'm trying to say is that right now would be a great time, not now, but like over the next few months. I would not be shocked if CDPR, once they had this launch and if it was successful and if everything's great, they've secured a whole bunch of financing before they drop. People are investing in them left, right, and center. And then over the next few months, they announce that they're opening, after the release has kind of been out of the way, that they're announcing that they've, bought out 3 or 4 new studios.
Well, that kind of relates to one of the points they talk about in the financial report. And so we'll summarize that really quickly here. So there were some concerns about, like the issues Saib's talking about with distribution and manufacturing and things being slowing down due to the world situation. They actually said in their most recent financial conference that there's no reason to worry about potential issues with physical distribution, since the situation on the major markets, Europe, USA, and Asia, is already getting better. More and more stores opening for business, and the majority of the market believes that by September these should all be functioning in relatively normal fashion. September, of course, is the release date of Cyberpunk 2077. But more likely, digital sales will make a bigger percentage of the initial sales than physical copies. Anyway, that's all kind of nitty gritty stuff. For the issues mentioned in last conference, problems with localization, voice actors not working because of the situation, they said these have had some impact, but they've begun solving those problems, and they're simply minor challenges at this point. So their major focus is still polishing the game.
As most people may remember, I have had some pretty good relationships with voice actors in the past. We've employed some of them. I can tell you this with certainty: every single voice actor out there who that is their main gig has a studio at home that they can record from. Not every single one of them, but pretty much most of them. And that is due to the fact that they just require that,
that's how a lot of companies are working. And I know some people they're just trying to get into voice acting. They're setting up these elaborate setups just to record lines for auditions, just because that's what they need to do, because they know they're going to be, part of it is going to be that they show that they can produce good sound quality. Now, a big studio like CDPR, usually they bring their actors in because they want to do it in-house. They want a certain level of quality. They want to be able to direct the actor live, that kind of a thing. But these kinds of solutions are available to them. So they are mainly focused still on game polish.
Now there are a handful of voice actors who are not technically savvy, and they don't necessarily do this, but most of them are, and or most of them live with somebody who is able to kind of more or less fill that role. And again, if you're really passionate about it, this is the time where you're learning, where you're truly taking the time to learn how to do your job better, and that's what a lot of these people have been doing. So yeah, this is I expect that this is some, not necessarily as problematic. Just as a general note, to just kind of say that, and I really encourage everybody to take this honestly. Everything that's happened in the last few months has harmed a lot of studios. Just overall, I've been speaking with a lot of indie devs, been reaching out to some bigger companies, going, how is production? Like if you were to rate yourself at 100% 6 months ago, what are you doing today? Like, in your honest opinion, 6 months ago, you're at 100%. What are you at today? Most of them are down. Most of them put themselves at 90%, 80%. Some of them put themselves at 70%. Some of them say that not much has changed. Most people need some kind of a structure to work. There are some people who excel when working from home, that they get better. I mean, you enjoy working from home. It's kind of, there are some people who their production has gone up, and this hasn't gone unnoticed by some people in the industry, where they've kind of realized that, if there's a lot of people who they can even get to like 80 or 95, 98% of what their normal production is. Why are we paying for them to go to an office? Like, why are we paying for an office for them? Like really, like, why are we paying, thousands and thousands of dollars a month in office space when we could just hire them to work from home and Skype into meetings, and then just have more like events located in, local areas and conference halls when we need to. And so this is gonna have some impact on it. However, the general impact of general productivity being down in most cases at least 10 to 20%, this will impact games going forward. Not, all games going forward. I would suspect that we're going to see something missing from most games that are being released this year, and I would be very surprised if CDPR is not on that list. So while I'm not saying that it's going to be delayed, I'm not saying that. I think we will see a handful of things maybe not be as super polished as they want to, whereas other things might be even more polished. And this goes for every single game releasing this year. I only mentioned CDPR because we're kind of talking about it, but this is something that people need to be aware of and to be prepared for, to deal with, of having this concept of like, oh hey, things might not go exactly as you want them to, and the I'm trying to caution people, like, don't jump on the immediate hate bandwagon because there are some games that are going to suffer that kind of a delay. One of the other things that we're looking at is Baldur's Gate 3. Now, we're hoping that they have not had a major slowdown, but they're gonna have a whole bunch of information coming out next week. So this time next week they're gonna be having this huge thing on the 6th of June. It is going to be huge, 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 and I'm really excited for it. But due to this delay and everything, there might be some there might be some stuff that's behind, and at this point, I think you kind of have to more or less kind of keep it
Kind of
in,
be understanding of that. I mean, it is.
kind of, yeah,
And
just to be understanding of it, not to freak out.
mhm.
There are some countries that did not shut down as much as others. I believe they're out of Belgium, so it's like, yeah,
Huh.
there's some interesting stuff there that's with that, and it's like, well, what do people do, and how, what are they expecting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Kind of
So,
on that note, a couple of other minor things from this report. By the way, the summary of the report from user Shavod on Reddit, and that name sounds familiar. So I feel like we've read summaries from this user before. They might even be, I don't know if they're connected to CDPR in any way, but most likely, as soon as they're able to, they're going to bring people back into work at CD Projekt. They feel that the creative environment is important, working together as a group, and I can definitely see that when you're working with other people on stuff. It's hard to do that. It's harder to do that remotely. It can be done, but it's harder to do that remotely. And then they didn't notice much of a higher sale of their products in April and May, despite people staying at home more. Of course, The Witcher 3 just passed a major milestone in sales. They just passed a major anniversary. They're doing well. Like, they're selling a lot. But they didn't notice a bump in April and May. And they're not putting out as many job offers anymore. I mean, they're entering the final stage of development on Cyberpunk, so that makes sense. They do have some out currently, but it's about 10 to 20% of what they usually have up. But here's what I find really interesting. After Cyberpunk 2077 release, they believe that they're finally at a stage where they can work on 2 AAA games at once. And in the report, they reiterated that they are adapting a dual franchise model with Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher, which might be a pretty strong hint of what those next 2 projects will be. Now, we've discussed in the past about how they might have a third IP in the works, in the planning stage kind of a thing. But their official stance on it right now is that they've got 2 franchises, Cyberpunk and The Witcher. They don't think they'll be needing 2 equally large teams, so one of them will start smaller. 60 to 80 people and expand with time. Now this could, I mean, if Cyb is correct that they will, start buying up smaller studios, this could contribute to this. And it's not like this is unprecedented. They've done some studio acquisitions over the past couple of years. So, we know the one new studio they bought is heavily focused on their multiplayer version of Cyberpunk. So, but anyway, there you go.
I mean, a lot of this just comes from like knowing the industry and looking at it and going, yeah, like it would be foolish not to. Like it would really be foolish for them to not, focus in on trying to tweak things and make things better and and trying to improve on what you have and trying to open the door to new options. It's like you really, really want to do that when you can.
Okay, just scrolling back in the chat to see some of the answers for the Dragon versus Cybercar debate. Let's see here. Scadrill says Dragon. Niv Aussie says Dragon. Time Bean says never trust a rogue pepperoni. I'm missing context there. She also says, why not both? Well, I agree. Robin says awesome AI Cybercar. Adam Smith says Dragon. Funky Moin says Dragon because it does not pollute. well, that's one reason. That depends. I don't know what comes out the other end of those things. Reticulum says Dragon for once. Niv Aussie, never trust AI taxi drivers. And then Robin, I think, drops the hammer with Cyber Dragon. Well, why the heck not, hey? And yes, Dragon breathes fire. This is a no-brainer. That's also from Time Bean.
Right.
Oh, Polly's. Dragon is better because the car can get hacked by China. Yes. Robin, Cyber Dragon 2077. Oh, all right. You folks are great. And this is why I love doing the... I love doing this podcast live. You all make it just a fantastic experience, and we love interacting with the chat while we do this. Yes, and Scadrill, yes, you did say Dragoon. You said Dragoon. Okay.
Yeah, Dragoon, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Funky Moin says the exhaust from dragons is 100% biodegradable. Enough said. Well, that may be true, but apparently cows emit like greenhouse gases. So, just saying. There may be more to it. Timing said we take over the chat and Ash likes it. Well, yes, I do. I don't care if you talk about the topic or if you talk about, as long as you all are having fun and having a good time in the, listening to the podcast, that's all we care about here. All right. So I think that's all. Oh, no, Cyber Taxi. So, okay, y'all remember the taxi from the story trailer from E3, which we got at the same time as we got the Keanu Reeves reveal. It was really cool. Anyway, so Marcin Momo tweeted out some nice, clean screenshots of the taxi because, in the story trailer, it's all shot up. It's dark. You only see, you don't get a nice, clean shot of it at any point. You see parts of it here and there. You see the interior, but we've got some nice, clean renders of it that we can just take a quick look at here. So here's the rear of it. Looks really awesome. I mean, from this angle, just kind of looks like a normal car. And I'm just going to shift this over a little bit, and you can see sort of the front end, that icon on in the center of the wheels almost looks like the on-off symbol. Anyway, so here's a shot of it from the front. Now here it definitely looks a lot more cyberpunk. And I have to wonder what those numbers on the license plate signify. Usually when you are... creators and designers like to put, little inside jokes and things in the numbers of things, or the numbers have some kind of significance. It says AT86 BA34. Don't know what it means, but it's cool. But I also wonder what this, on the right headlight has these weird sort of neon hexagon shapes in them. They're on the left in the picture, but it's the right-hand headlight from the driver's perspective. Wonder what that's all about. I don't know. You have any ideas about that, Saib?
Well, that code triggered something in my head just now, so
Okay.
trying to sort through that. The lights. I mean, I would assume that they are like messaging systems to other drivers and other things. I mean, I have longed for a long time that I think that just general driving could be like far more informative. Like when you're speeding up, there should be like when you're accelerating, there should actually be a light on the rear view car that shows that you're accelerating. When you're, just you've taken your foot off the gas and you're just letting it idle, there should be another light for that. And then when you're like braking, obviously, brake lights, right? It's like I do not understand how humans have managed to not get in massive pileups every single day because of, lack of communication between drivers. It's astounding to me. It's like crazy. But then again,
There's an interesting. This is totally sidebar. Do you remember when they added that third light at the rear of vehicles to indicate when you're braking? So instead of just the normal running lights getting brighter, there's actually that third light in the middle that lights up when you hit the brakes.
Yeah.
I was studying this in one of my psychology classes. When they first introduced those, rear-ending accidents dipped significantly, but then they gradually climbed back to where they were before. Because people just got used to it. It just became background noise. So,
Yep.
That human brain is...
And that's so bar. It's so weird. Not bar. It's so weird because it goes to show that driving, the act of driving, like 90% of driving is subconscious. Isn't that like frightful?
It is. It's like, yeah, you just, it becomes like, I don't know what a good comparison is, but yeah, like you just get it. It just becomes habitual, and it's way too easy to just stop paying attention.
My dad talked about a trucker that he met who had to scale back on the hours that he was doing because one night he went to, he stopped off at the roadside, went to sleep, got into his, boxers and crawled into the back cab and went to sleep. He woke up 3 hours later, like 100 miles down the road from where he'd gone to sleep, and he was driving, and he was like, "Oh, this is not good.
That's bad.
I need to start resting more because this is
Clearly, yeah.
Like his brain autopiloted it. So
there's a reason. There's a reason I get nervous when I'm driving close to one of those trucks at night. But anyway, not a problem in the Cyberpunk universe. This car is piloted by AI, so I guess it doesn't really need real headlights necessarily. It might have other sensors and ways of detecting what's around it. But of course, these things are becoming a reality in real life. And then Delamain, you see on the right-hand side there, Delamain, I guess that's the brand or the name of the car. It's piloted by AI. I actually pulled up the, because we hear it talking in the story trailer. The Delamain AI is voiced by Samuel Barnett, and this is his only acting credit on Behind the Voice Actors. So I don't know if he's just somebody who works for CDPR or who he is, but anyway, got a role in Cyberpunk 2077, or at least in that trailer he did. All right, and then we'll so Delamain is either it's the name of the AI or the name of the car. I don't know if this is something from established lore or not. I'm not knowledgeable enough to know that, but anyway, very cool. Lots of readouts right on the dashboard, and then we got one more shot of it here, and a different angle of the front. So yeah, it looks very cool. I think cars are going to be, I think, a big part of this game. And I think that, yeah, it's going to be very cool to see what they bring in, and I mean this. I'm guessing the fact that they're featuring this tells me that this is probably, it's It's not just something they used in the trailer. It's probably going to be in the game. Anyway, perhaps someone that I don't have every bit of everything we've seen in the trailer and gameplay memorized, so someone can let me know if it's shown up anywhere else that they're aware of. All right, so that's the Cyber Taxi, which loses out to Dragon. Dragon has definitely outvoted Cybercar as preferred ride of people. And on that note, we'll talk a little bit about Cyberpunk 2077. Oh, first I'll say, though, you are listening to the Augmented Reality podcast. We do love seeing everybody so active in the live chat. If you want to keep the conversation going after the live broadcast, we welcome you to join our Discord community. You can find the link in the description below, a place where you can chat with us and other Triple S community members and have a lot of fun. Chat about all the things we love to talk about, stay up to date about everything we're doing here at the Triple S League. It's a great community. Check it out. Click the link below to join. Be sure to say hi to us in the welcome channel. Solarian Studios, a few days ago on May 28th, they tweeted out that a Baldur's Gate 3 sizzle was dropping the next day. So, of course, on May 29th, they dropped a sizzle. And it was a tweet that said, throughout June, we'll be revealing more about Baldur's Gate 3, starting on June 6th on the Guerrilla Collective Showcase. GuerrillaCollective.com. It's almost time to venture forth. So gather your party. And
I really hope that they drop Chapter 1 like sooner rather than later.
Like as a demo, yeah.
Wait. Well, that's what they did for Divinity, and they've already confirmed that they're going to be doing the same thing here. So what's going to happen is they are going to put out the game in an early access alpha, and it will include Chapter 1 or Act 1.
Okay.
And Act 1 will be Act 1 for Divinity Original Sin 2 was, I think it was out there for almost 2 years. It was a fairly long time. And during that process, they added to the chapter, they added new areas, they added new missions, they added new puzzles, they added a maze, they added tons of new NPCs. It just got more and more filled up with every, like, you could see the progress, track it in real time. You could see new tools, new classes, new abilities, new characters, and they are going to be replicating this exact same thing. So Baldur's Gate 3 will drop sometime. Looks like it's going to be between the summer and the fall. I'm hoping that it's going to be end of June, maybe July, maybe September, and it's going to be available for you to play as kind of an early access thing. They're going to have a Discord. They're going to have obviously their website and their forums where they're asking for feedback. They're asking for people to test things. There's going to be new features to come in, new artwork added, new stuff, and they're going to ask you constantly, like, hey, come in, try it, let us know what you think, let us know where we can improve, and you're going to be able to track the progress live. And then when the game ships, it will include probably 4 whole acts, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, and all of the story and dialogue and everything else that goes around that. So yeah,
right.
That it appears to be the way that they're going with this.
And that'll be cool. That'll be cool to play that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't release too close to Cyberpunk, but the sooner the better, of course. Mm-hmm. By the way, the Guerrilla Collective is an online games festival. It's taking place. It's one of the million online gaming festivals that's happening over the summer, but it's a bit of a smaller one, featuring smaller publishers and developers, but it looks like it's going to have some interesting stuff. Of course, it's got Larian. It's also going to feature 11-bit studios and Paradox, Funcom, Humble Bundle, a whole bunch of other companies that are involved in this. So it takes place June 6th through 8th, live streaming on Twitch and apparently on Steam. There's a Steam logo here under where they're streaming. All right, and that's not all we have, though. This tweet included a new 40-second teaser trailer. And again, we mentioned earlier...
It's a gameplay trailer, so this is all gameplay. This is all stuff.
Now, what kind are we talking, like Xbox definition gameplay or real gameplay? Because some of it looked like it was cutscene stuff, but there was also some gameplay.
They don't have a this is all in-game gameplay that's captured from scenes or dialogue or direct combat situations.
Right. Yeah, so we don't have screenshots because, again, the only version that we've found so far that's been released is the really bad quality one on Twitter. But you can check out Larian Studios' Twitter account if you want to watch that. But
if you're watching it in anything smaller than an iPhone screen size, it looks great. It looks really great.
if you watch it on your smartwatch, it's gonna look fantastic. But yeah, like it's grainy and terrible. So like we haven't grabbed screenshots from it, but Saib's going to talk for a few minutes here about what we saw in this and what this tells us about the game.
Yeah, so just overall, it's like the world is huge. It's massive. We can see that from the screens. We can see that the depth of scope for these zones is massive. This is not surprising. The depth and scope of the Divinity Original Sin 2 maps were huge. They were interactive. They had lots and lots and lots of hidden features, secret locations, hidden items, and all of this stuff has been doubled down on in this game. And it has been doubled down on so much so that the chances of you being able to find everything that the map has to offer on a single playthrough is zero. In fact, they're intentionally doing this to make it so that when you play through the game, you're encouraged to play through it once, twice, 3 times, using different characters with different strengths and different weaknesses, and trying to find what you can find. If you fail a search test with all of your characters, you're not going to find, and you don't find the secret room, you don't find the secret room that round. So you can save scum and try to find it. But for certain things, unless you're looking at a guide, you won't know it's there unless you know it's there, unless your characters find it. So this is one of these things where it's like, I can't wait to play this, vanilla, clean, not knowing any of the secrets and just playing through it, because you're gonna have this like exploration and this discovery that's gonna be super, super, super awesome. We also see in this, the combat in this is quite amazing, because you have the ability to trigger an enormous amount of environmental effects.
Yeah, there was one point where she threw a statue. That was cool. You remember that bit?
You broke up, or did I break up? I couldn't.
I don't know. I'll repeat. There was the point where she threw a statue. That was really cool.
No, not okay. So you're talking about the first little bit there where they knock down a statue onto the enemies.
Yeah, but it doesn't just fall; yeah. It like gets thrown.
No, it falls. It tumbles.
Well, okay, whatever. Anyway, carry on.
Anyways, so there's environmental things where it's like you'll walk into an area and you'll look up and you go, oh, hey, look, there's a precarious wall section there, and I wonder if I can cause it to collapse on somebody, which is a very real strategy. It's very very helpful to bury your enemies in rubble. It kind of works, and we saw this in the gameplay that they featured last year, where you can you could shove enemies. There's a guy box, and you could shove him off of the wall. Okay. Shove the box that he was standing on.
We do seem to be having some connection problems with you, Seb. So, I don't know. Maybe you want to kill the call and rejoin or something. But I just want to point out that something Robin said in the chat here, because chat has managed to get someone new to join the Discord server, which is awesome. And Robin Green says the Triple S Legion grows. I think that's a fantastic name for this community. I can't believe we never thought of it before.
That's why I named it that.
Great job. The Triple S Legion? I've never heard that. The Legion? Anyway.
Well, League Legion. You know.
League. Well, yeah, but League and Legion, different words. Anyway. All right, Triple S Legion. I love it. I love it. We've been looking for, like, because there's a lot of communities like Neon Arcade is the Neon Nation, and Mad Queen. I can't remember what Mad Queen calls hers. We've been looking for a name for our people, all of you, our community. I think that's a fantastic one. All right, go ahead. Sorry. So hopefully Cybe's connection's fixed now.
I think the connection's better now. So, yeah, it's overall, like, it's looking really good. This has everything that obviously Divinity Original Sin 2 had. So you had hidden doors, hidden passageways, things that were discoverable because of your awareness levels. That we know is in there. We have more strength tests. We have a deeper interactive skill system that's connected to conversation. We have a rolling system that has been refined and improved massively. We're going to have a way more classes this time, which was something that the last game kind of lacked, and they also lacked like complexity of the classes. It's like, do you have 10 strength? Then you are amazing. Versus somebody who only has 8 strength. Aha! And it was deep-ish, but it wasn't as deep as I wanted it to be. And so now we're going to have that much bigger depth. We know that the game is going to be limited in levels, and this is always the funnest part. Is like the early days of your character, where they're like, I gave this example before. You're going to walk into a room, you're going to face an enemy, and you're going to be like, well, Joe has a stick with a rock tied to the end of it. I have a knife, which is our only official weapon, and some boots. And Bob has a giant bucket for a helmet. All right, how can we take down this enemy? That's the thing, and I like that, and that was really fun. That
when you can bring that aspect of creativity and imagination into it, and they're really trying to capture that, as they showed us with the whole thing about, you could throw your boots at an enemy and knock them off a cliff, kind of a thing. Very cool.
Yeah. So, really, overall, it's just like I'm really looking forward to this game. This is very exciting. And the camera controls in it are going to be great. They're going to be awesome. We're going to see really kind of where we get to go, and really what we get to build, and really what we get to experiment with. So yeah, and this is all coming out this year, most likely. It seems that they're, with them saying this and with them saying prepare soon, you're going to get in here soon. That to me really says that they're going to do it this year. And they're probably going to do it this summer, which was always their plan. As far as I heard, they had wanted to kind of have this out like right at normal E3 time. That was originally what I had heard. Rumor, was it that was their planned date, give or take a little bit. And so I think with them saying soon, prepare to start your journey soon, I would picture that this is going to be between now and fall. I don't think this is going to be late fall or next year kind of a thing, and because I just think that would really come off as quite bad. So yeah, no, this is going to be awesome. I am going to make my own custom hero and play with all the companions, and we're going to have some awesome mods, because yeah, that was the other thing, is like modding took off in this game when it was in that alpha phase, and there were some mods that got big and dragged some attention to them, so much so that the devs were like, "Hell yeah, hey, this is actually a really good idea. Let's run with this." So yeah,
Oh yeah, well, people love mods. You encourage and give the tools for modding in your game. That opens it up to a huge audience of people who are going to play it for a long time. Like people, there's just so many creative people in the gaming industry, like in the gaming community, who just they love to make stuff and then put it in the games, and so that's always fantastic.
hmm
Which is why,
and
as
if
we've
you
talked about many times, this is why
yeah.
Skyrim and to a lesser extent Fallout 4, but definitely like Skyrim is still being played by many, 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 many people to this day. That game is pushing; it's almost 10 years old, and
hmm
it's
Yeah.
like the
The
modding,
mods,
modding,
unlimited
the
power.
mods keep it alive for sure.
hmm And I mean, we're gonna see this more so with this game than we did with Divinity. Divinity was almost to the point where it was like you could start to do like really like regular mod shows and showcases, but a little less now. Like it fell off obviously, but this is now is gonna really open that up, because I think the world's gonna be big enough. It's going to have more of a pull now that now that it's back in the D&D world, and we can actually like we have all this lore. Like the Divinity world is kind of big for lore, but it's not nearly as big. It doesn't hold a candle to the lore of D&D. The lore is hundreds upon hundreds of books and literally billions of experiences, right? In the form of like custom created GM stories, and
Yeah,
this is the beauty of this, and this is where I think they're really going to capitalize on this, and we know that multiplayer is it's not going to be at release, but it is on the deck for what they're trying to build and the engine that they're trying to make, and I cannot wait for that, because this is this experience. This is the ultimate experience as a GM, as a creative, to be able to like go in and create a story and craft a story with people right there, and building it and making it great. And it's like I cannot, like, this is great. This is really
yeah,
really really a step in the right direction for gaming, and and for traditional gaming too, because this is stuff. This is the experiences that so many people grew up with. This was the experience so many people were looking for. Aside from Tom Hanks, who was looking for that really weird experience.
okay.
That's an inside joke for those of you who saw one of Tom Hanks' first ever films that he did.
Good question from Niv Aussie. So, what engine is Larian using? Do they have their own, or is it
It's
Unreal?
it is
What is it?
their no, it's their own engine.
Okay.
It's their Divinity engine. Now some people are like, oh no, the Divinity engine, it wasn't really that good. It was also like 6 years ago now. This thing's had 6 years of this is this engine has progressed as much as the engine that CDPR is using. So just to kind of put that into perspective, when they built the game and they put out the game, that was around Witcher 3 and or shortly after, and all of this time they have been recruiting. They doubled up their studio size. They now have an impressively large, massive team, and they have gutted everything. They haven't gutted it. Gutted is a bad example. They've gone in, they've looked at every single thing in the engine and said, all right, let's improve this. Let's take this to the next level. This was good. Let's make it completely brand new. And make it even better, and make it look like it's not just a make it look like it's an actual piece of real stuff that we can actually run with. And that's the plan. That's the scope of like what they can run with and what they want to run with. It's like that's to me that's where the best thing comes from. So yeah.
All right. Well, almost an hour in. Just a few more things to cover here. let's see. Yeah, let's just quickly talk about Last of Us 2. So there was some reports out this week that it's not engaging very well on social media. Like, it's
I
not
wonder
trending.
why.
Sorry?
I wonder why.
It's not trending very well. Now, there could be a few reasons for this. But, of course, with a bunch of the recent controversies surrounding the game, it's certainly, I guess, not unexpected. But there was a Twitter user who ran some comparisons. He pointed out that the Last of Us 2 State of Play stream it peaked at 98,000 concurrent viewers, whereas Ghosts of Tsushima peaked at 180K just a week prior. Now, that's interesting because I think just looking at the state of things, I think there should be a lot more hype for Last of Us 2 than for Ghost of Tsushima, and yet, Ghost of Tsushima had nearly double the amount of people turn out if you are just looking at the peak concurrent viewers. Now, there could be a couple different reasons for this. Could be that people didn't have as much information about Ghost of Tsushima, so more people were interested in looking at that as opposed to, Last of Us 2. Maybe they already knew what to expect. It could also be that people are trying to avoid Last of Us 2 spoilers. But, so there's some interpretation of the data that needs to happen here. We can't just straight up say, oh, it's because of the controversies. But I would be very surprised if that didn't play into it. So, anyway, there you go. That's the info on that.
I mean, here's my official prediction. I think the game is going to bomb officially. It's going to be, of course, it's going to be critically acclaimed by a whole bunch of people, and there will be a number of people who enjoy the combat for the sake of the combat. But the story and the general direction is just it's they've taken it to a shocking level to try and compensate for, trying to show that, oh, hey, look, they're still hip and cool. They're still the cool parents, They come in and say, WTF, what the fun, right? Because they're cool. They're a cool dad. They're a cool mom. And look, we can be edgy too. You don't think we can be edgy? Well, here's a movie from a crime scene that I stole from work. It's like, wait, what? No, what? Stop. This was not. Whoa. This was not where you were supposed to go with this. It's like you were supposed to be like this. Like, whoa, no. So that's they've just flipped too much. They flipped too hard. They pushed too hard. They're trying to like compensate for just this creative hole. Again, you can create a product and then you can one up it by 110%, 120%. If you're trying to 200% it, you're gonna hit a wall, because there's only so much creativity you can do. There's only so many things that you can do, and what they did here was, I think they were aiming for the skylight, and they've hit the roof. I don't know if that's a good
well,
analogy.
Anyway, I think the point is made. That for sure they've made some very, very weird decisions with this. And then the fact that they're trying to stifle discussion about it is very telling. They're worried about this. They're worried about how this game is going to do. They've invested a lot into it, and it's, they maybe didn't make the right calls, as evidenced by a lot of the community reaction to the spoilers. And they're trying to run damage control now, just to try and help it sell as well as it possibly can. But anyway, we won't talk that to death, but that's some interesting stats on that. Skyrim Grandma took some news outlets to task this week. Actually, one in specific. I'm going to put the tweet up on your screen here. So you may have heard that there is some, there was some news out about her that she's taking a break for the sake of her health, because of a whole bunch of toxic, degenerate gamers on her comments and you know, and her streams and videos, just pouring on the hate. Well, no, turns out that didn't actually happen, and she smacked down VG247 on Twitter. And when I call it a smackdown, I mean, when you read through this lady's Twitter feed, this is, by the way, this is Shirley Curry, who is known as Skyrim Grandma. She's an 84-year-old grandmother who has a YouTube channel where she plays Skyrim, and she loves it. And it's like, it's her hobby, it's what she does, and she's just the sweetest old lady. She calls her fans her grandkids, and I was scrolling through her Twitter feed. She's just like, she tries to respond to everybody. And is so polite and sweet about it, and it's really it's really fascinating. She's a wonderful lady, but she did put out a video vlog saying that she is going to be scaling back her upload schedule due to health concerns.
Then also her comments too, which was like, so she answers and replies to almost every comment. She tries to read every comment. So one of the things she said is that she was annoyed that she gets a lot of like comments on like, hey, you should play this game or that game, or you should, like, did you know that the HUD can do this?
Oh, we had Cyb just cut out there again. I don't know what's going on with the connection today, but I know. Yeah. So she said, annoying comments, patronizing comments are part of what adds to the stress of the YouTube endeavor. I don't think the patronizing comments are as I think she was kind of reading in, like, when somebody mentions something about the HUD, it's like oftentimes they're just looking for something to say, just in general. I don't think that they're backseat gaming, as much as she thinks. Now, obviously this is a thing that happens. Like, obviously this is a real thing, right? Like, backseat gaming has been around since like Mario days. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's malicious or it's intended to be patronizing. Sometimes it's just somebody who's. Well, I don't think it's intended to, but I mean, it is. When you've got,
not all of it. Again, some of it, yes.
Some of it, yeah. But I mean, even if it intended or not, these comments get annoying and stressful.
Yeah.
And when she's been playing Skyrim for years, she knows how the game works. Yeah. She's a game. She's not like, oh, your grandmother who needs help figuring out how to get her email on her iPhone. She knows what the hell she's doing. So, anyway, so she did say she was going to start just deleting comments that contained that kind of stuff that stresses her out, which is good idea. Like, that's what you need to do. And especially if it's impacting your health, then I mean, the impression I got from watching her vlog is that it's the general stress of her upload schedule combined with comments, combined with other factors, are taking a toll on her health, or actually, more accurately, that her health, she's having some health issues in general, and the stress is not helping that. Was the impression I got. But VG247 and some other outlets basically took and ran with this narrative that it's because of an onslaught of patronizing comments, as they put in the tweet here that's on your screen. She gave them the smackdown, as only a sweet grandma can, but she said, VG247, I don't know who you are, which is, first of all, hilarious. I don't know who you are. You are completely irrelevant to me, or where you get your ideas from, but there was no onslaught of patronizing comments. But yes, I am scaling back my videos due to health. Most people on my channel are very nice. I do wish you would delete this so it would go away. Smacked down. Granny tells you, delete your article because you're a dumb fracker. I'm translating from grandma speak now into normal vernacular. This is like, delete this, you dumb effer. Because this is like, she does not respond to people like this. She responds positively and sweetly, but this is like, who the hell do you think you are? So that tells me that, yeah, she really, she was not happy with these people. And then there's some other places, like people giving her, there was a lot of people tweeting at her saying, you know, oh, I heard this was happening. I'm so sorry to hear about it. And her response is like, oh, you know, you're so sweet, but, you know, it's been blown out of proportion and I wish people would just stop talking about it, kind of a thing. So she wants this whole thing to go away. She just wants to focus on what she enjoys doing and talk about artwork with people on her Twitter feed and do her Skyrim videos on her YouTube channel. And so, yeah. Game on, Granny. Good for you for calling out VG247, who has not deleted the article, but they did put an edit clarifying it. And it's always hilarious when the clarification is basically the exact opposite of what your headline says. So, anyway. Game on, Skyrim Grandma. Take care of yourself. Be healthy. And you know what? You know, don't let the stress of it, if it's taking a toll on your health, nothing wrong with scaling back. I mean, it should be fun. If it's too stressful, like creator burnout is a very real thing, and I have to imagine in your 80s it's going to take a much greater toll than when you're in your 20s or 30s or whatever. So yes, please take care of yourself, Shirley. But good on you for calling out the game journals.
Now, I've spoken with her before. Me and another modder that we work with did approach her with an idea of adding her to a mod for Skyrim and Fallout 4. And she was very nice. She was very kind. We spoke over email a couple times, and she was like, no, don't worry about it. It's I feel that this would be, you know, having it blow out of proportion. At that time, we didn't know that she had already been in talks with Bethesda for appearing in Elder Scrolls 6, and that's why that's why she turned us down so elegantly, because and this happened literally before this happened about a month or two before that announcement was made out. So it was like wow, that you know, that's really cool. And yeah, I've got to say she goes to great lengths to communicate. And this kind of does show a little bit of a difference between, you know, people of the newer generations and people of her generation. She believes that every voice needs to be responded to, and you don't encounter that with very many people. And so this is kind of a nice thing, and honestly, is really warming. Just something about her channel. She appreciates the subs, but she's always kind of made it clear that she really just wants people to hang around, you know, and people who just come and sub for the sake of like subbing to her channel. You know, it stresses her out, because then she sees that, you know, she's got 800,000 some odd followers, but she only ever gets like a handful of people that stay for the content. And so that's something where it's like if you're gonna like reach out, it's like make sure that you reach out and you know, kind of interact with her a little bit in one of her streams, and you know, because that's what she prefers, right? And she'd rather have people show up and be active on the stream than to just show up, sub, and then never watch any of her videos again. So
yeah.
So there was a little bit of that was kind of in her response that she put out about why she was scaling herself back. Plus, she's old, and you know, I certainly hope she lives to be 120. Like that would be great. I would really love to see her be able to play this coming Skyrim this coming
The new Elder Scrolls
game,
yeah.
and the next Elder Scrolls game. You know, I would honestly really like appreciate that. That would be great. And I really do hope that she has a very long life. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, take care of your health, Grandma, because you know, that's your most important thing. And
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like when you're any creator, like creators usually get into this kind of a thing for fun. But then, you know, you start to build an audience and you start to feel pressure. You start to feel pressure to put out content constantly. You feel pressure to, you know, constantly make it better, which is good. But we take it like we feel that pressure very, very strongly and acutely, and that that's why creator burnout and YouTuber burnout is very real. And
and by the yeah, and by the way, like, this is the type of person that I think Twitch should be like reaching out to. Not to have on some official board that is supposed to have power but then doesn't actually have power, that is supposed to say things that then doesn't really like, this is not like, I would love to have, Asmongold and Shirley and probably one or two others, maybe Ninja if he's back on the platform. I would love to get them into a room and to just have them discuss the not have them on some kind of a board that meets bi-weekly and has all the just get them into a room and have them talk about the problems on the platform. Just really have an honest to God discussion, because I think you would get far more out of that than you would out of some like thing that really just comes across as a patronizing attempt at like filling up a quota of certain people to fit certain roles. Like, that's my 2 cents on that. Just kind of connecting that with the other biggest Twitch story.
Spicy take from Cyb. Can't say I disagree, but Polly's 911. Thank you so much for the super chat. Polly's says, how much of a piece of shizno do you have to be to use Skyrim Grandma for clickbait? Good thing she fought back. VG247 is a garbage of a game site. Yeah, VG247 is trash. My personal opinion. All right. A couple other things we wanted to get to. Star Wars Maverick. What the heck is Star Wars Maverick? Honestly, I had to... I don't know if this is a name that's been floating around, but I had to go back and kind of look it up. But it's looking like there might be a big Star Wars video game announcement next week as part of one of these big festivals, these online gaming festivals that are going to be crammed into June and July and August. But it's sounding like this coming week we might get an announcement of a Star Wars game, and the evidence for the reveal of Star Wars... This, reading from Forbes now, they have an article on this that lays it out really well. The evidence for the reveal of Star Wars Maverick from Motive Studios isn't bulletproof by any means, but the hints and teases and clues are all there for anyone to see. First, Sib, I need to ask you, where does this name Star Wars Maverick come from? Was this announced as a name of a game they were working on? Was it a rumor? Because they're talking about it as if it's something we should have already heard of, but I don't remember hearing about this.
No, it's either a code name or it's I suspect it's just a code name.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if they're gonna. I mean, I kind of doubt they'd put out a game called Star Wars Maverick. Like,
well,
sounds kind of weird.
It does sound weird. I would be surprised if it's the actual title of the game. But anyway, here's what's going on. It all began with a tweet from EA Motive Montreal, which was retweeted by Jason Schreier, who said, "It looks like somebody's getting ready to announce a new game." So Motive Montreal, new studio, they say, "We're here. The Motive family is excited to be joining on social platforms to share on who we are and the work we do. Really, we couldn't imagine a better time to start connecting with everybody online." So after closing BioWare Montreal, they opened up another studio in Montreal? Interesting. Anyway, Schreier later notes that this is specifically a Star Wars game. And so that's interesting. In an article at Kotaku, while he was still working there, about some of EA's canceled Star Wars projects, he briefly had mentioned that there are 2 Star Wars games currently in development at EA. There's Respawn's sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, and a smaller, more unusual project at EA Motive in Montreal, Canada. This, it appears, could be Star Wars Maverick, according to Forbes. GamesBeat editor Jeff Grubb will be breaking the story next week. It appears Grubb responded to Motive's tweet with a gif of Maverick, Tom Cruise, from Top Gun. And my browser just froze and won't scroll. Okay, there we go. So there's more Maverick connections as well. Grubb also tweeted a schedule of upcoming gaming events like the big PS5 event, which is moved to June 4th. And on June 2nd, so yeah, so Jeff Grubb put out this image with a schedule that says Jeff Grubb's Summer Game Mess, and it's got things like, okay, May 27th, there's the Last of Us 2 State of Play, on June 4th, Steamquisition, June 5th, IGN Game Reveals. On June 2nd, it says Mel Gibson Picture. Well, what the heck does that mean? Well, Mel Gibson did star in a movie called Maverick. So, yeah, something interesting is going on here. So then the writer of this Forbes article says it's also just another clue that the new game will either be called Star Wars Maverick or that's a code name for the title. Okay, so they didn't explain that very well at the beginning of the article, but I guess that's why they're thinking this might be called Star Wars Maverick. But yeah, you've got two connections.
I really doubt it. It's going to be called Star Wars.
Probably not, but maybe it is the code name, like you said. Anyway, something weird's going on, but it's connected. It's been connected twice now to the word Maverick. All right, and what else do we have for today? So we talked recently about how demos need to come back, and we are seeing all of a sudden a lot of demos being released on GOG. So you had some comments about this, Cyb.
Yeah, well, I mean, we kind of called it. Return to demos is what these gaming companies need to do. Why let somebody write an article and talk about a game when you can just give an hour of the game to somebody? Say, here, try it. Not even an hour, it's like half an hour. I mean, I know whether I like a game within 15 minutes of it. And it's like, just give me that chance to like show you that this is something that I like or that I prefer or that I'm, interested in. And it's like, yeah, that has a lot more meaning to me than some journalist who's can't complete the first level of a game. It's like, good grief. Yeah, Polly's 911 with the giant super chat. Star Wars Maverick main player gonna tell to other NPCs that they can be a wingman anytime. Personally, I prefer Star Wars MacGyver, so I could build an AT-AT walker with a rocket and duct tape. Okay, yes, yes, I like this. This is yes, this. Mm-hmm. He wins the internet today. Yes, MacGyver. Why play as Tom Cruise Maverick when you can play as MacGyver? Go in with a BB-8 droid and like half a blaster and come out with your own Star Destroyer. So yeah, no, this is brilliant. I like this.
Okay, we got more information about this Project Maverick. Shout out to Scadril in the chat, pointing out that they leaked a screenshot logo that says Star Wars Project Maverick. Okay, somehow we missed this. This is an article from back in the 4th of March from Eurogamer, and I'm sure this is on other sites as well. But on the the PlayStation Network leak, hang on here. Yeah, the PlayStation Store accidentally leaked something called Star Wars Project Maverick, which is accompanied by a screenshot with a logo that says, it's like a Star Wars style logo, Star Wars Project Maverick. And it's got the logo over top of sort of a dark colored reddish background with a Star Destroyer in the background. So this is the game that Schreier was talking about. All right. Thanks for that catch. Somehow we missed that. And Project Maverick is a much cooler name than Star Wars Maverick. But this definitely ties everything together into, saying that it looks like the Star Wars game is going to be announced, or we're going to get some information on it very soon.
It's basically just a flight simulator shooter.
Because yeah, I mean, you're right, Scadril. Why would they leak a screenshot of a code name? Somehow we missed it, that this leak actually happened. So thank you for tossing that our way. All right. I believe that's all we had for today, Saib. Do you have any final words before we wrap things up?
Things are going to pick up very quickly for news over the next couple of weeks. There's going to be several major announcements next week. We're going to have the big PlayStation event. We're going to see a whole bunch of stuff from the new thing. Just to kind of clarify some comments last week when it came to PlayStation. From everything I've heard, it's been a mess. That doesn't necessarily mean that in development it's been a mess, and games that are being worked on it have been a mess. That doesn't mean that it will release in that state. It's just that they've had a rocky development process. Doesn't mean that every game is going to be trash, or that they aren't going to master the new engine, the new platform to make better, cooler games. That's their job, right? And how bad are they going to be at their job if they can't even do that, right? So obviously, difficulty in the past doesn't necessarily mean that it is now difficulty of the future. But what I was trying to say was, it's been rough, and don't expect, in every console generation, you don't expect a bunch of launch titles that are amazing. You very, 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 very rarely have that. Most of the games that come out in the first year of the console are pretty garbage. And that's most. That's not all, that's just most. And typically you don't have those really good golden games until you get usually a year or two into release, because it takes that long for them to brush up on that, to brush up those pieces of that engine to be something that's capable of doing what you want it to. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
All right. As a few people are mentioning in the chat, the SpaceX rocket launch that was delayed to today is happening in a little while. So we had a group of people watching it live on our Discord server on, was it Thursday? Or was it Wednesday? Now I can't remember. But in any case, join the group to watch that. It's not going to be streamed on our server or anything, but you can talk to people while you're watching it. And the community had a great time with that the other day. Hopefully the rocket actually launches today. That'll be cool to see. So I'll definitely be checking that out. And with that, we're going to wrap up the podcast. Thank you so much, everybody, for the great conversation in the chat. Thanks for supporting the show by listening live or after the fact. Don't forget to slam that like button before you leave. It really helps us out. Tells us that you appreciate this content. Tells YouTube that you like this content. Subscribing, leaving comments, hitting the notification bell, all of that helps as well. We really appreciate our great community, our great Triple S Legion. Thank you so much for being part of this, and thanks for that great name. I love that we have a name for the community now. All right. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters and our channel members who help make this content possible. Our big darn heroes on Patreon. I think we're going to update the tier names now to sort of reflect the new community meta. Anyway, at the top tier on Patreon, we got Shua82, Robin, Time Bean, and our 2 anonymous supporters there. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. It does cover some of our regular expenses that we have here, so really appreciate that. Plus our channel members on YouTube, Mr. Pazernick, Jer Schultz, Game Notes, Night City Punk, and Terror K. Appreciate you all. If you're listening after the fact, or on one of the audio-only platforms that this podcast goes to, we appreciate your interactions there as well. Don't forget you can join the live show Wednesdays and Saturdays, where you can interact with us and other listeners and be a part of the discussion. See the Discord server for exact times and schedules. Wednesday show is a little wonky right now. We're trying to nail down a consistent time for it. Might be a couple more weeks before we're able to do that, though. Sorry about that, but we'll try and let you know as early as possible when the Wednesday show will be. The Augmented Reality Podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Ash on behalf of Cyb. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll talk to you again very soon.